I think I just, would say like I got a taste of my own medicine. Women, especially, get very stressed about all of this and all of the things being moved. That will stress me out, right? If my wife is stressed, then I'm stressed.
Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hershey, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And it is Movified Wednesdays with me, moi, and Stephen Reed. What's up, Stephen? ReadyRolls.com. He's the big league mover out in Memphis.
That's right.
Tennessee.
That's right. It's a beautiful day in Memphis, Tennessee as well. The most beautiful land of all the nation over here, Mark.
No tornadoes, though, right? No tornadoes?
No tornadoes. No tornadoes this week. I got a question for you. You had an eventful week. How was your move? You moved. I saw the stories and the boxes from you and your what?
I did. What an interesting 2 days. Before I want to jump in there, obviously,
and you chose the last week of May. I just wanted to point that out, too.
And it's the last, of course. I don't think I get to choose those kind of dates. Unfortunately, it just kind of falls in that play. But for all those that are watching, the silent doppelganger on the other side of this screen is Mr. Tim Krupp. He only wants us to call him Mr. Krupp the entire time. So if we can say Tim a couple of times, he was very strict. He gave us like a whole outline of how we have to direct our questions to him.
Yeah, I sent you my ride.
That's right. I got the rider. Tim Krupp, if you don't know him, it is Krupp Moving and Storage, and also Move Bees, and also so many things. And we're going to get into sitting down and having a full-on conversation with Tim. But back to Steven's question, I kind of want to get your guys' opinion too on this. I found it almost more exhausting than anything that I continually doing in the office when you actually have to pack and move yourself and you have your team there. There's this two sense of how I felt. One was, okay, I got crew coming in and I want to make sure that my wife's clothing is put away. I want to make sure the house looks fairly clean. I don't want it to look like a mess.
Different stress.
It's like you got your staff showing up at the owner's house and you don't want it to look like a total pigsty and, kids' toys everywhere. So you're also trying to keep that tidy. And then on the flip side, you're like, well, I got my guys and I really want to test them out. So at the same time, too, in my head, I'm going, okay, this is a great training program. This is what we're going to do. We want to make sure, I want to see how they're packing the dishes. I want to see how they're wrapping the furniture and almost do like this on-site estimate. Then I took it a whole other step farther and go, hey, cool, this is a perfect opportunity for having a film crew in to film tons of content. So then you had all of these multiple layers all together on top of driving from, my home to back to the office to do some filming, back to the other home, and it's this whole encircling situation. What I came out of it, though, was something that I know a lot of us talk about to our customers, but it's something that I feel really needs to be laid down when you have a moving consultant that is
Mark.
That is speaking to the customers. And that really, I had this big debrief on day 2 when it came to moving. I said, okay, guys, we're going to talk about like the good and the bad of what happened. And I said, I really want you to break down the different types of age groups and families that you have, that we deal with every day that are packing. So for someone that you're moving that's maybe elderly, a senior couple, you're asking them to make sure, hey, do you have your medication like in your purse or in a handbag? Have you prepared yourself for like an overnight bag? Because we're everything's gonna be packed up today. Tomorrow's gonna be move day. By the time you get to your stuff, it might be in the evening. So do you have yourself like a 24-hour bag, whether it's a couple changes of clothes, maybe an extra pair of shoes, a jacket, like all of these type of things that you have? Then I said, now think about it as a family. If you see that they have young children or family, do the children have their toys? Is there pajamas? Do they have any diapers that they might need? Like, is there this like essentials bag that is made, and are you aware of it? Because one of the things I completely forgot after making sure I had this all done was, oh, wait a second, our towels all got packed up. having to take a shower in the morning.
Yep. And your sheets, those kind of little things, those sheets, where are those at? Those are always a big deal.
And a lot of times the customer is already frazzled. It's already thinking about 1,000 different things. You're so worried about making sure that you're good for the morning of, and then you forget that by the time you get to your new home, if it's running late, it's later in the day, do they have the necessary supplies? Did they, not just talking about clothes, but maybe they didn't want to order in. Maybe they're transferring all their stuff from their fridge to the other fridge. Maybe they're, trying to make dinner or have breakfast for the following morning. Did you pull away some bowls? Do you have like that kind of essentials kit, right? To hold yourself over for the next 24 to 48 hours if you don't expect to unpack half your boxes. So that was really kind of what I laid into my crew when they were there, about just making sure they're having a really strong communication with the customer on that day.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use. And that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
So that was kind of like my 2 bets. Other than that, my lower back feels so sore.
Yeah, did you have to
go to the
show
gym
up for
day
the
in and day
movers?
out?
Did you have to get going?
Oh, of
on that
course, for
side?
sure.
Yeah, you had to show them
For
you
sure.
know what you're doing out there.
What
So-
are your
so-
thoughts, Tim, on this?
Yeah, that's I'm interested in that.
The worst is when you pack somebody's medication that they have to take away. And I know that's happened to all of us, like heart meds or something. And it's like, you literally are like peeling the truck back apart, looking for the box, digging through it. Or the checkbook, right? The checkbook, you're trying to trade at the end of the move and like, oh, you guys packed away my.
Yeah, the essentials. I got some ideas just going off of that. Tim, I know you moved all the way across the country and back recently in the last few years. With your moving company, how was that experience? Did you learn a lot that you put in place through that experience?
I think I just, would say like I got a taste of my own medicine. You know what I'm saying? Like you forget how stressful moving really is. And not only I'm pretty laid back. There's not really much that stresses me out too much, but women especially get very stressed about all of this and all of the things being moved. And that will stress me out, right? If my wife is stressed, then I'm stressed.
And it's eye-opening to feel that stress, not just as a customer, but as your wife. You're like protective in that time.
We had a lot of stuff. I mean, my move was like 30,000 pounds, right? Moved to Florida. So, everything's delivered and now we've got to set it all up. And like my wife wasn't going to rest until it was done, but finding things, you've got I hate parts boxes. I personally am not a fan of it. We do them. That's never actually been my process. I would much rather keep hardware and feet and stuff with the item taped to it and shrink wrap to it personally. And like I was reminded of that during my move because I had this parts box. Now everything was labeled in there or whatever, but I had to like dig through it every time I would, need to put something together or go find a cord or go, all this stuff. And like I hate parts boxes. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that was good. That's something that I don't really think of unless you're moving. But yeah, we're parts box guys over at our at Big League, and I could see where that kind of could get annoying the next day as you're kind of in assembly mode.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us as moving company owners is just like not be losing parts, right? So it's a good process as far as that goes, but it is kind of a pain when it's time to put everything back together.
Last time I moved, and say it was 2020. It was eye opening for me. My wife was stressed out. My wife was running. I mean, you're running around town. You got people coming to this place at your old house. You got this house. It was eye opening with little ones. You're like, oh, I should have got my family to help a little more, not my movers. And it was pretty eye opening, of all the places. It was raining, and my layout's like a ranch that has I'm in my, I call it the cave, but in my guest house over here. So things kind of went everywhere. It's not opportune for locations. And it was great to have the experience. After I did that, every full-time employee at Big League Movers gets a free move, and they're not allowed to move on that move. They have to go through the customer experience just to kind of learn. And I find that to be a worthy, worthy benefit. Yeah. Like the movers, like, please sit down and enjoy it. Because I want you to see what everything you get frustrated about. Right.
I like that. That's really good. One of the things I noticed at the end of the move, and this happens a lot to young families, is your children get really restless. The moves being unpacked, maybe the beds aren't being made or anything. My two sons, they were, kind of always in the movers' ways. They're excited, right? They want to see what's happening. They want to see what's going on. And what I chose to do was I gave my oldest son a key, and I said, okay, now flip the boxes open. And I want you to, because we were trying to unpack as much as we can, send it back away. And I had him cut the tape to flatten all the boxes, or, grab the pads that are like all over the place and put them in a pile. So I was trying to give my children tasks to do on the move so that it kept them occupied, and then they felt involved. They were excited. The best part though was my son this morning, because he slept with his brother, because his other room wasn't set up, and he said to me, he goes, Dad, why isn't my room set up? Like, why is there still stuff all in my room? I said, well, we have to work on that tonight. We're going to make sure it's all tidy. You're going to be good to go. He goes, well, just can't you get your guys to do that? I said, you're going to be doing this. But I was like, let's get this little entitlement out of the way here.
I know you've been busy. We hadn't talked, but I've been excited all week about this one. I have so much respect for Tim. Like, he didn't just knowing his story is similar to mine. I think it was like under $10,000, if I remember right, of what he started. And guys, Tim's at Krupp Moving all over. Tim's at Movies. He saved my butt a couple of times when I needed to let go of somebody. They do a wonderful job. But Tim is not just building a moving company from that $10,000. In my opinion, Tim is building a movement and moving, and something that inspired me to jump on. When I met him, I think it was 2019, Tim, we met, and man, we both kind of were starting to take off and took off from there. And I couldn't be more proud. No matter where Tim's at, Disney, I've talked to him in Cancun. He always takes my call. And I've been excited to talk on this episode all week, and we got breaking news on this one. So exciting to talk about that today.
So let's dive right in. Tim, why don't you give everybody that's listening that has no idea who you are a little bit of a brief bio. Tim also has been on the show in the past. It's probably been about a year or so, I think now, since the last time you were on, which was such a pleasure to sit down with you. And we talked about faith within the industry, and we talked about Movies, but give us like a whole roundabout of...
Go back on YouTube or
yeah,
Spotify.
Please do.
Check that one back out.
All right. Yeah. Just real quick. I started in 2005 in this industry, started from nothing. I was a car salesman, built my company while I was selling cars. My wife was answering phones from home with screaming babies and kids in the background, selling moves, booking estimates for me for my day off from the dealership. By 2015, I mean, it took a long time. It was a slow build at first because, I started from nothing. I didn't have credit. I couldn't get truck loans. The trucks I had were crap, so it took a while to like really get the ball rolling. Left car sales in 2015. I remember standing out front of the dealership like, man, I'm not doing a very good job selling cars because I'm trying to run a moving company at the same time. And like,
I couldn't imagine you being bad at anything sales, just to throw that
oh my
out
gosh.
there.
I would be like working with a customer, like trying to close them on a car deal. My phone's going up in my pocket like crazy. And I'm like, I know that there's like a fire going on a job. So I like duck out from a car.
The truck's broke down.
Yeah. And like problem solve real quick, handle it, come back out, sit down with the customer and be like, how's $600 a month sound? Sign right here. Right. So I'm like,
the customer's gone. You turn around, the customer's gone after time.
Yeah. I'm not selling it. It was messing up when you're stressed about stuff, you can't sell nothing. Right. So, and I also had so much going on outside of the car dealership that my sales started to suffer. And I was always like, one of the best at the dealership. Right. So I made the decision. I was like, this company isn't big enough to afford me and my family and our big house payment and all that, but I got to go run my company. And I remember driving home that day from the dealership, told my manager, I got to go run my companies. He's like, doors always open. They're super cool. But I never felt more free in my life than the day that I was driving home from that car dealership. Like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do and go as hard as I have to go, and nothing is going to stop me from building this company. Now, what I did is I took everything that I learned in sales cars. I mean, I had a knack for sales going into it, right? So like it would just naturally, I think I'm a little bit of a natural salesperson, but cars they taught me about process and about controlling a sale and about all the different ways that you lose points, like you lose equity with people throughout the sale if you like lose control or all these different things. So I took that and I said, you know what? When I go and I run my company, I'm going to go see every single customer that will let me, and I'm going to use everything I learned from sales process, and I'm going to do on-sites, and I'm going to close them while I'm on the spot. So that's what I took, and that's what I went out and did, and I doubled my company, that first year leaving. And I was like the main salesperson, for those first couple years. I handed off operations, I handed off everything. I just wanted to do sales because that, for me, that's how I was going to like build this company. And my last year of sales, for the full year, I averaged 70% closing ratio with zero follow-up. But then fast forward, I acquired a company in Akron, opened a company, another company, Krupp in Columbus.
Just a little flex midway through there, Mark. Did you pick that up? Just a little. Hey,
I did.
But
I saw the flex.
Anyway.
He transitioned very well.
Keep going. Sorry, Jeff.
We have Columbus, Cincinnati. Now we've got Cleveland, and then the acquisition, and then Worcester is the main branch. From 2018 to 2021, I went from 1.4 million to 10 million. So I know what like explosive growth feels like. And I think everybody, like Steven, you were there, Eric was there, a lot of guys that we started talking back in like 18 and 19, all of our companies exploded. It wasn't just me, but we started sharing information and the economy was good. But if you were there and you were ready to scoop it up and you were ready to scale, you made a boatload of money during that season, right?
Yeah, it was opportunity. If you jumped at COVID before everybody else, while everybody else was frozen, it was a great opportunity too.
You were ready to get it and you're ready to get after it. And you were ready to take some risks. There was a lot of money to be made there. But then, on the flip side, 2022, 2023, 2024, right? So everybody is seeing, 20 to 30% dips, and we're all, climbing back from that. And I think that made so many of us, it made me so much better of a business owner, right? So much better at finance, so much better of like, okay, I can't operate sloppy at all anymore. Like, right. So like every single dollar,
I can't afford the dollars. Yeah. I can't afford to lose them.
Dollars matter. My administrative dollars matter. My, there anywhere that there was, money, that was draining out of the bucket, you had to find it and you had to plug it, and it made us all better, right? All of us, so like, I don't even I think it was a good thing. I look back now and I'm like, that was good. But so I also the owner of Movified. I took, sales is still really what I love, is my favorite part of this industry. Created a call center for my companies, monetized it by starting to offer those services to other companies. Now we work with about 40 companies across the nation doing sales, CSR, claims, and we help with hiring. And it's funny. It's like, I always say, it's like, I think it might be my favorite company that I have. It's not like where I make the most money or anything like that, but I love sales and I love the environment. Like my vision's always been like, I want to walk in and I want it to be like Wolf of Wall Street in here, but people like selling moves, paper flying through the air, people talking, ringing cowbells. Like,
if you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we had 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business for human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works. Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
That's what I think people need to hear. 1.4 million to 10. So a lot of people listen to this at that 1.4 million. I also want to point out, can you tell me the population of Worcester?
26,000 people.
26,000, and it's about it's over an hour from the city, right? So you're out
Yeah,
there.
so it's about an hour to Cleveland. So if I do like an hour radius around or an hour and 10, I can service about 3 million people.
Yeah. I
Each
just
out,
wanted
like-
to point that out. It's incredible for any of us who sit back and make excuses or say, I just can't grow or I just don't know what it is. Like, listen to this podcast like I am after I get off here and get my ass in gear. Because you can climb that. There is no excuse. If there's people moving, Tim has proved he's going to find them. Another cool thing about Tim is he also built that same sales engine for everybody to get. So he's taken what he's learned and brought it to Movified. So I just wanted to point that out. 26,000 people is where Tim started. And that's his main headquarters.
Yep. You know, the thing that was really a game changer for me is when we started mailing, because we were able to penetrate, an hour away, an hour and 10 minutes away. And that was, that has become, a little bit more competitive, but there's still like my best marketing source outside of like repeat referral, type stuff is always still the mailer. Yeah.
The mail outs.
Always
Really?
the mailers. So and long distance, like that's what I noticed on my tickets. Long distance on the mailers is the beauty of it.
Long distance, high ticket moves. Yeah, I mean those are those close at such a super high clip.
Well, since we got the sales expert, last week we had and I got another one to rewind if you haven't heard it, but we had a guest on the show who had an AI specifically built for sales at moving companies. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. Mark, I'll let you kind of jump over there, but this is exciting to have Tim, the human sales machine, on the next episode.
Well, this is where I find it fun and interesting. This is why people tune into the show. Last week we had Daria. She was the co-founder of AI Lead Hub. Their main focus is to get AI voice agents into the moving companies that need that extra help, right? They need the extra assistance for the evening calls, the weekend calls. They want to offer that soft transition for when someone calls in and, you think, oh no, like I got 4 lines ringing in the office, or we're super busy. It's the summertime, lots of leads coming in. I don't want to miss these leads. And now this AI voice agent, you've built this knowledge base back end. The AI agent has all the details about your company, just like you would build a sales script or if you were going to work with someone like Movies, you're going to have to talk to the team, to Tim's teams, and say, okay, like this is my company, this is the pricing, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. Like it's the same type of onboarding and success. The only way to be successful by providing all this information. What I love about this episode is, I really want to pick Tim's brain, and we were talking off air a couple days ago about this, because objections are something that we deal with day in and day out. Our moving consultants, either whether it's management, like anything that we're dealing with, there's always some type of objection. Someone's wanting to choose pricing over quality. you know, and that's usually the most common thing all the time. You know, I got to talk to my spouse. I got to talk to my husband. I want to, you know, shop around. I want to get a couple more quotes. Like there's all these different factors that come in. And I wanted to get Tim's take on why not have this AI voice agent handle these objections? Like why can't this work down the line? Why is it so important to have that live agent?
And are you using it? Have you tested it as well?
So I've tested some of them. I'm super interested in this stuff. So like, even though like I own a call center, I'm not particularly biased one way or another. I have my thoughts, and I also have that I'll share with you guys, you know, where we're at right now. And then I also have some data, right? So like at the end of the day, everything always comes down to data. Does it make sense on my P&L, you know, to do this? So right now, so technology is pretty much here, and it's getting better. Great use case for like, if you don't have anybody answering the phones at night, having like an AI agent that can gather information and let them know that somebody's going to be calling them back or schedule an appointment. Absolutely. If you're going to miss a phone call, to have that to be your backstop, you know, I mean, you could either have a CSR, a VA do it, or you could have AI do it now, right? So I think it's also, you know, a really great option. Now, when we start getting into, hey, I think that I want to run my company on AI agents, and I want them to sell for my company. Let's look at it from a data perspective first, right? So I'm not even going to tell you my gut on that, right? Let's look at it from a data perspective. So I put this into chat earlier today because this is kind of how I think about it. Let's say my average move value is like $2,000, and conversion rate of all the leads that come in, right? So if like phone calls is about 40%. And I pay my salespeople a commission of 8%, right? So what most moving company owners are thinking to themselves is like, I don't have to pay AI agents 8% commission, right? So even if there is a little bit of a dip in the conversion rate, maybe I'll still come out ahead as far as the money it goes, right? So maybe I'm willing to take a dip in conversion because the money still makes sense at the end of the day, and then I don't have to have salespeople and pay them all that commission, right? So here's the dip. So say that your company, your average move value is around $2,000. Your commission you pay is 8%. And your conversion rate is 40%. You can afford about a 3% drop in conversions with AI and still make the same amount of money, right? Now this is where we get into the gut stuff, right? Because we don't have enough data yet. My gut tells me that conversion rates are going to drop with AI. And it tells me that, so for a couple reasons, right? So number one, we all know that moving is one of the top 3 most stressful times of your life. Somebody dies, somebody gets divorced, and then moving, right? So somebody dies. Do you want to call and talk to somebody and buy a coffin from an AI agent, right? Or do you want the pastor to be an AI agent? You know, and then somebody gets divorced. Do you want the mediator to be an AI agent, right? And then same thing, moving is very stressful. And a lot of times my best salespeople are women. And the reason I believe that is because of empathy, right? They have a level of empathy. A lot of times men don't deliver, even though maybe we understand moving better, maybe we don't, but you know, a lot of us have actually done some of the work, right? And then when it comes time to close, when you think about sales in the close, is the whole time that you are in that sales process with the customer, that is you earning equity. You're earning equity with that person to cash in at the end, right?
Yeah, you said that earlier. I thought that was well put.
Earn equity to cash in and overcome objections. I mean, if an AI agent is trying to use an objection on me, like I don't feel any kind of way about just hanging up on that if I'm not trying to hear it, right? I'll call back if I want to book. But if it's a person that just spent 30 minutes with me on the phone and we joked and we had a good time and it was a nice conversation, I'm not going to be a jerk and hang up on that person, right? I'm going to at least let them hear. hear them out. And then, like if I'm not going to book with, just like, okay, just let me talk to my wife and I'll call you back or whatever. And then when you talk about follow-up, like what do you do right now when somebody calls you and you answer it and it's AI?
Yeah. Well, we just went through the race, the politics here. So we were getting all the bots and just hanging up the political voting. And all those bots were running during that time, at least on my phone.
So I think that there's really good use cases for it. I do think that, when companies get really busy and like, there's going to be a time when AI agents are going to be able to gather inventory, shoot it into the CRM. It's already there. Like that stuff's going to be super clever. And it'll be handy if you don't have a live person who can answer that. But if you're thinking that you're going to save money by not having a live sales team and because you're going to save on commission, you really need to run a comparison side by side, like get a AI agent and then have live people and see what that drop is with the AI agent and then run the math, use chat GBT and run the math and figure out like what drop can I absorb and still make the same amount of money, right? Because if it's about more than 3%, you're losing money. Better off hiring live people and paying them the commission.
No, I think this is great. Actually, one of the touch points that you mentioned, Tim, earlier was about the actual personal conversation, the real one-to-one conversation that you're having with a customer, where you can feed off their emotions, right? You can see like how their anxiety is when you're talking to them. You can throw a joke in there. You can make things a little bit more lighthearted. You can quickly answer questions that I feel like AI is not there yet. I don't think that's going to get done. So at this time,
being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google. No one's gonna call. No one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Yeah, and I would add to that too is, when a customer calls in, your salesperson is the representative of your company, and that is the only indication really they have is their interaction with you on what your company is actually like to work with, right? How do we use speech? How do we conduct ourselves? How professional are we, like with process? Are we organized? Are we not organized? At the end of the day, if they get 3 moving quotes, everybody has pretty good ratings. All the prices are about the same. How are they going to choose who they're going to go with? They're going to choose the person that they enjoyed their time with the most.
Totally. Yeah, I see that a lot.
What is I got some questions about Movies in particular, just going against the robot, because one of the perks of the robot would be instant response. So that's the game, is as soon as it hits your CRM, the robot's calling that person in theory. What's your speed to lead right now in Movies?
I mean, our goal is always under 3 minutes.
Why is that? Why under 3 minutes? I've been actually talking to a few Ready Roll clients recently about how important that is. Why is that so important? Why is it 3 minutes, Tim?
So, well, I mean, I guess it's probably like a realistic number to work with, right? Dude, I would say, like you want to be answering it in under a minute, honestly, right? But like in the summertime on a Monday and a Tuesday when everything is coming at you, I mean, that could be, you'd have 20 salespeople and it could still be hard to manage, right? And nobody's getting fast enough. But like, dude, I mean, yeah, 3 to 5 minutes tops. It's like if your leads are sitting for longer than that, like often, I mean, there's gonna be times when they sit longer. But if they're sitting than that longer than that often, then you're understaffed on your sales.
Or you're not just being efficient. You're not being efficient enough. Like if you're not on top of
And
it.
Tim probably has the data, but the amount of money you're losing if I say 5 minutes, I'm learning to raise the bar on that side. But so a customer's doing their research on you. They're looking at that big, beautiful website that you invested a lot of money in, just like you do when you're hiring a home service. You're doing a scan, you're looking around. Is this legit? Is this expensive? Right? And they're filling out a form. So in today's society and our space, how fast paced we are, right? If you didn't catch us right after we did that research, if we're going to the next website, we're going to do another 5-minute review of that company, see if it's somebody you like, might go to the next one, right? But you just dropped your booking percentage right there. Your chances to book that move just dropped drastically because they're possibly talking to someone else if you get outside that 5 minutes. And so more than likely they are calling that next person. So if you get up to that 15-minute mark, you're hoping that they didn't answer either. But you're probably calling and leaving a voicemail because they're talking to someone else. So your percentage just went down. And then after that 15 minutes, you're trying to hit the odds of calling somebody when they want to talk about moving. And so your odds just drop down drastically after that. So that speed to lead is something that if you're not getting it, if you're understaffed, call Tim tomorrow. He can have you get started in 2 days. But that is like you are missing money on that stuff.
You think about like even like purchased leads, right? So like say you're buying Equate Media leads or something like that.
Well, it's even worse.
You're getting those in live time, right? So customer inputs it and presses go. It goes through a little bit of a process. There's maybe a little bit of a lag, but it's showing up to you like pretty much in live time. You think the person just got and their phone rings right away. You're getting them while they're engaged with this, right? You let that sit, and then with a lead, especially, they probably sold that to a few other providers. You're going to be out pretty quick if you're buying those and you're not getting on them. But even a customer going to your website, I mean, they do a form fill, like that's live time. It comes in. Imagine if the phone was already ringing. I mean, there's there's software and auto dialers and stuff that you can set up. As soon as they come in, your phones are ringing, whether your salesperson is ready for it or not.
I know companies like Let's Get Moving and You Move Me that both have that provider. I know talking with Tim at Let's Get Moving, his big thing was like, I want to keep it under almost 20 seconds. Like the moment that form hits send, the bot or whatever grabs the phone number and will start dialing it into their call center process. Like it's that fast.
Tim, for our listeners that are out there, it's the first week of June and they just got their butt kicked on the truck the whole week and missed their phones the whole week. What are your options that you provide for Movified? So tell us about the services if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we offer sales for moving companies, right? So we will answer your phones. We work in smart moving. We're responding to your leads, getting a hold of your customers. We either set appointments based on your criteria of what you want to go estimate on. We don't take a percentage of that. We just we set estimates for bigger jobs for most companies.
So we'll make a user for you in our software.
Yep.
Off the bat.
Yep.
Yeah,
And actually, we have a deal. Yeah, we have a deal with Smart Moving. So where we can give you unlimited users for like $200. So we can dump 4 salespeople on your company if we want to.
Nice. And then what do you ask us questions or do we need to fill something out?
Yeah, we do a whole onboarding where we create an SOP, like a sales SOP for your company. We share it back with you, so you'll have that for the future if you want. But we got to learn all about your company to sell for your company.
So you're not just saying, hey, you called me for Movies, we're going to sell you like your Krupp's Moving. You learn about the company right then, and you sell. Your reps are assigned to these guys and sell for them and get to know them, right?
They really become a part of your team. I mean, I walk Movies, they're all talking about the joking with this owner and that owner and this manager. They're always bantering back and forth with them in the chat, talking to them about, hey, can you squeeze one more in? And I mean, so like they literally become part of your team.
They do.
Know
They're part of my team. Like when you brought them to one of the events we were at last year, man, I was meeting the people that I talk to every week, and they help me out every day. It was really nice on that side. So that's the onboarding experience. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, as we're sharing all this, I find if you were trying to find a solution, and Tim, you can see if you back me up on this one. If it was during the day on like a Monday to Friday and I was understaffed, leads were coming in, phone calls are ringing, to utilize a company like MoveBees for a Monday to Friday during the day to help offset any kind of missed leads, to just be on top of it with regards to your staff. And then in the evenings and maybe even the weekends, or the way you picked your times, you would use an AI voice agent to kind of just do that order check, like just to handle the, hey, let me book you an appointment, or let me get your information over to someone. Because typically on our websites, we're saying, oh, the office is closed anyways at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Would that be a very smart alternative that you'd recommend moving companies to go towards, so that they're actually utilizing both worlds?
Yeah, I think that a good option depending on the capabilities. So the other thing that we offer is CSR. So we have a CSR team that answers the phones till midnight Eastern time, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're just making sure all phones are answered. If it's somebody wanting a quote, they're gathering some information about the move, all their information, creating a lead in Smart Moving, assigning it, setting appointments for on-sites.
I always take advantage of Tim and the data every time I talk to him. Tim, on the booking percentage, if you're just using it for after hours, those customers have a lesser booking percentage on those calls, right? Do you find those to be more window shoppers, or is that a higher booking percentage?
So are you saying people that call in later in the day,
Later, like after 5? Yeah, are you getting the same booking percentage?
Yeah, so 5 to 6 is one of the best times.
Okay,
right?
nice.
So one of the best times of the day, every day, is between 5 and 6.
For your
And the phones
outbound?
will hard for an hour usually, and then it get after that, then yeah, so like 6 to 8 or whatever, they're not as likely to book as people early in the day. Yeah, that's definitely true. But there's still sales there. There's sales to be had. And we should definitely we should definitely have business hours saying that we're open till at least 8 p.m.
Are you doing virtuals?
Yeah, tons. Yep, tons of them.
Nice. So how does that work? They your rep just will schedule a virtual with your team. They just they do a live switch.
Yeah, we try to do the live switch as much as possible. We don't like to get off the phone with people. But sometimes people need to reschedule or schedule it for later in the day, or maybe the rep who answers the phone isn't one that we've approved to do virtuals yet. You got to be pretty seasoned, because usually if we're switching to virtual, that's because it's going to be a big, a big move, packing, storage, interstate type move. And, there's no, accuracy is everything in our industry. And like for what I do, if we, stuff that's not accurate, it's all bad for everybody. So it's got to be the right person. But as much as possible, we're trying to go live with it.
Is your team remote, or are they mostly at your facility?
Yeah, mostly at our brick and mortar right here in Worcester. So we've got like 18 people in the brick and mortar, which includes a couple administrative people. And then we've got 1, 2, 3. I think we've got 4 people who are virtual that work for us. And then we actually have one Filipino that he was a CSR, and he was really, really good, and we let him try sales, and he's really good at it. So
yeah. I mean, once they get it down, it does take a little while to understand moving, because they don't move. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was doing CSR for a year, and some of our CSR work is actually gathering inventory. Some companies have us gather inventory, right? So he had been doing lots and lots and lots of that, and he just got really good. So I put him on my companies, and I let him sell. Like, dude, he's legit. He's crushed. So we let him, and then we're testing out South Africa right now, where we have one who's there. She's only selling for my company. So I always run these. My company's always the always the test dummy for all this stuff, because I can't test this stuff on other companies. But so we have a girl right now from South Africa that, like, I love their accent. She's great. She's been on my company for months. And then we just hired another in South Africa who he's just in training right now. And I'm not necessarily looking to like go like 100% that direction or whatever, but I'm trying to crack the code on like what cultures work best with Western culture to be able
with
with
sales.
them on sales. Yeah. And to be able to do a good job and to work within those things. So
I've had, you let me know how if it keeps going, because I've had the South African, I've had a pretty not reliable experiences.
So that's a different culture in South Africa. They're very relaxed. Like as far as like responding to inquiries on Indeed and stuff, like like really slow on that. But once if you
That's
connect
different
with
than
the
my
right
speed so far. So
Yeah.
that, Tim.
Your
Anybody
Filipino
relaxed
people
is not a big league movers.
Yeah, the Filipino people are like over the top. Like they answer it like in like 3 seconds.
Oh yeah.
If you said they're like duly noted, like they're the most helpful, like they're wonderful people.
Yeah, they are.
Tim, what does it look like for our listeners up in Canada and even those that are in the UK? How can they utilize movies when we're talking about, I mean, let's even talk geography, right? So if not everybody in your center probably knows all the different states and cities and all the little, tidbits, because when you're talking to a customer and they're saying, "Oh, I live in this area of the town," as if you know exactly where that area is, you can run into difficulties of that customer going, "Oh, I'm probably just talking to someone at a call center." Right. So what does that look like for Canadian side and the US like, or in the over the water, like in the UK? Because there's not many moving call centers out there. And I know they all have the same struggle as we do. So how can MoveBees also be able to help them out? Or if that's a possibility?
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some DAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company. Not only that, they helped answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a BA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our BA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025.
And another game changer for our company. I'm confident to be a game changer.
Visit ReadyRolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
We sell for a number of Canadian companies, so that's not an issue at all. We've never sold for anybody in like the UK or Europe or anything. I don't even know, how different that would be. Like, do they even use smart moving over there? I don't know. We've done a lot of Canadian companies. The biggest thing for us is like
we're worldwide here on Movified, Tim. Worldwide. We're worldwide here on Movified. We're Canada. We got Philippines listeners. Maybe some South African now. Yeah, lots of people in the UK. We're worldwide.
Okay, well, hey, if you're in the UK and you're listening to this and you need help with sales, give me a call. We'll figure it out as long as you're smart.
That's the answer I want to hear.
What about the removals out there in the outback?
A little bit, but geography as far as like when we're scheduling stuff, especially like on-sites, is where geography can get the most tricky. When we work with people, if you got an on-site guy trying to, do 5-6 a day and you don't get the geography right, they're not going to be happy. Right. And they're going to drive way more than they should. There's always a little bit of a learning curve when we take on a new company and start scheduling lots of on-sites or whatever. Now the geography of moves doesn't really you plug it into smart moving and it's going to price it accordingly. Right. And we're going to know what to do with it. If it's over a certain amount of miles, then we maybe we're not even the one going to be estimating it. We're probably handing it back off to the home team, or it becomes an interstate or a long distance and we price it differently. That doesn't really matter. It's really just setting up, or when you stack jobs, right? So, but really dispatch mostly is handling that. Now are we going to the dispatch calendar and taking a look and seeing like, oh, they finished this one at 3:00. We probably squeeze that in. They're absolutely doing that type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
And they're not just stopping there. They talked to Jeff, our operation manager, quickly, to try to get stuff on there. They're community, like part of the team, just to complement that.
Just like anybody else that you hire, is going to take them just a little bit to figure out your geography. But like we've got, Google Maps open and we're looking, we're not taking stabs in the dark. We're actually, it's just the process generally is just slower at first because we're being careful and looking on maps and seeing like, okay, this is where they are, this is where they're going, and figuring it out that way for people.
I think you brought up a key thing there too. and the fact that you do work with current sales teams. So it's not just that you all have to get rid of everybody that's on your sales team and join MoveBees. They do blend.
Sales teams, generally the sales team at moving companies love us because if your customer calls in wanting to book, we'll book the job for you. We don't take, we're not going to take any money or anything, like we help out wherever we can with them and just try to become part of the team and be helpful.
Yeah. And y'all have done a great job at that. I must say. All right. I think Mark gets me on time. I know he's looking at the clock right now, but
No, I find it very fascinating and talking about this. I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit more of, for those that say, look, Tim, I got a good team. My sales, my moving consultants, they're out there, they're striking the numbers, they're getting good booking percentages, but I feel they could do a bit better. What do you find are, some of the top 5 key things that you see moving companies that are doing really well, and like it's because of this? And what are some like maybe the top 3 to 5 what they're doing really bad and they should totally avoid, especially when Steven's clicking away on a mouse? What can we do to try and avoid those?
Well, all right. So the most obvious ones are you're missing phone calls. You're letting leads sit too long. When you're mining leads, you're only trying it once. You're not trying it 3 or 4 times. You're not hitting them a bunch of different ways, getting creative with text.
Can you give us some examples of that? Like, what are some of the creative ways that you could suggest they could do better?
Well, I think you can get really creative with text. And what I encourage my people to do is to play around with chat and put in the scenarios of hey, I'm a moving company. I'm trying to get this person to respond. Can you give me something funny to say to get them to engage with me so that I can give them an estimate? Give me like 5 examples or 10 examples, right? And then you could put different spins. So we use AI like crazy, but start getting AI to give you stuff and then start testing and see what generates responses out of people, right? Because sometimes there's things that you can say that will provoke somebody to engage with you, and that's all you're trying to do is to get them to, and then
get a smirk out of them. Yeah.
Look, if you can make somebody laugh, that is one of the most powerful things that you can do. If you could think of something funny and then when you find something, it's just like social media, right? So social media, you don't know what's working. You don't know if you make good content or not, but the algorithm will tell you. When you put a video out, the algorithm will tell you, and you'll be surprised on what resonates with people and what doesn't resonate with people. But when the algorithm tells you, hey, that really resonated, you just got 1,000 people just watched this in the last 15 minutes, right? Or it goes viral. Now, if you're a social media person, you're going to dump money on that one, right? That's the one you're going to put your money on. You're going to spin that out there and you're going to sell a bunch of product, or you're going to get your face out there. Same thing with text and word tracks and things like that. You play with it and you experiment. And then when you find something that people start responding to, give it to your whole team. Say, try this. This is what I know it sounds crazy. Just try it. It will work. Right. And it could be anything. People love animals. They love cats. They love dogs. They love, there's so many different directions that you can go with.
Everybody loves a meme. You can pop out a comic strip like no other.
Yeah. If you can't get hold of somebody today, text is the best avenue to get someone to engage with you if you can be creative. So I would say being creative with text, obviously follow up. Now, everything I just said applies to follow up too. You're following up with people. You're striking out. Now it's time to get creative. And are we just using the same 5x canned emails and text messages that are programmed into Smart Moving, and we haven't changed them for the past 5 years? We're just using what came in Smart Moving, right?
So is everybody else that signed up with Smart Moving.
Yeah. So here's what I would encourage you. In your CRM, we all have canned text. We all have canned emails, right? You need to go to ChatGPT and you need to write. So if you got 6 salespeople, you need to have 6 completely different campaigns for text and for email. And you need to be A/B testing and playing around with that stuff. I mean, because you're going to find what works and what gets people to respond. to you. So that's what I would say is like, you're using old stuff. It's time to use the new stuff. Number one, are you doing follow-up, right? Are you actually doing this stuff?
Yeah,
Number
because
three,
that's where you make your money is follow up.
and then next, if we're getting outside of that, is like, how are you managing your people, right? Like, what reporting are you pulling? What are you looking at? How do you know that your people are following process? Do you have a scorecard? Are you scoring them? Are you listening to their phone calls? Are you sitting next to them and listening to phone calls and coaching them, right? Like, this is like ongoing. If you want to build like an unstoppable sales team, the coaching never stops, right? Like, the reason Movies is crushing it so much right now is most of my reps have been with us for 2-3 years. And all of that coaching and all of that experience have led them to where they are right now. I think I've shared on, I've been on other things like where I shared like last month, my team closed every lead that came into my companies at 47%. And it recently bumped up to 48 because some of that still matured. Like almost 50% of every lead that came in, that's included in, some purchase stuff, PPC, Google guarantee, on top of the mailers and referrals and all that type of stuff as well. But that's Movified sales team answering every single phone call that comes in, either selling it or scheduling on-sites for my people. But managing with reports, and, listening to calls, looking and seeing, pulling your VoIP reports and looking at like what percentage of phone calls am I missing, looking at average talk time, and comparing that to all of your people. I mean, the amount of reporting that you can do on a sales team is a huge rabbit hole. But dude, there's always, can you be 1% better? Can you be 1% better? Can you be 1% better? And that's just what we do. We're always looking for 1 more percent, right? And trying to find that 1 more percent. And I don't know, it's just, I love it. It's something I get to geek out on. Some people like to, build hot rods and build, guns and, that's like, I like to tweak out and figure out, the best process for my sales team in trying to find that 1 more percent.
Now, my follow-up with all this, and thank you for that insight, Tim, because it's very, it was very good. The other flip side where I come in is going, well, that's all fine and dandy, if, for local moves or even long distance, like residential. But we also have an office division. We do office relocation. Maybe we work with productions. Maybe we do delivery services. What does that look like when those type of calls are coming into the Movified Center? Because, some of the objections that I get from our office relocators, they go, well, yeah, but I'm contacting, somebody at the office. I don't maybe have their cell phone. It's always their office number. This is how I'm reaching them. What would you say to those that have teams that are going out to get office moves and overcoming some of those objections, like the gatekeepers that you usually have to try and get past?
So, well, I mean, that's like biz dev, right? Biz dev for commercials and that type. That's really not, that's not my wheelhouse as far as like,
yeah, that's Ready Roll's wheelhouse.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the guys that are going on LinkedIn and trying to get business development. I'm talking about the office leads that are coming through. So someone goes on your website, fills out a form, right? So I'm going to run this scenario. So someone fills out a form, right? And now Movified gets that office move. Someone's looking to relocate a 100-person office, or that's even a 50-person office, and they have the name, the contact, all the details. So how does that play out for capturing that lead and to get the follow-ups and to get the details, like you're saying, so that moving consulting can stay on top of it?
Yeah, I got you. So like, we do commercial at Movified for people all the time. And we get we get phone calls and we get leads. Generally not a hard to get a hold of the person, because they're at that point, they're trying to get something up. So that's not like, biz dev. They're just doing a form fill like anything else. Yeah. So, no issues there. I mean, we love commercial because, most people doing commercial, they're like the first 3 companies that call, if they have to, generally it's 3 quotes they're supposed to get. The first 3 that call are going to get they're going to get a crack at it. Right. So yeah, I don't think
it's almost more preferred, and you probably can still do a live virtual walkthrough or set something up on a large office.
Yeah, we just did when I was just talking with one of my reps today. They just wrapped up a $33,000 commercial move that they did that he estimated 100% virtual, and the crushed it. Came in, super accurate. There was actually they came in under and got, because they flat rated it. They came in under and got to keep some free money on the job.
Hey, I also want to add, I have some restrictions with MoveBees. So y'all always hear me talk about Jeff and Jeff selling a lot. Well, MoveBees works with Jeff and they tee him up because they know he's going to book over what they book. So we give them perimeters that we want to make sure Jeff is booked before we do something, or the specialty job over 4,000 square feet. And they work with us, Mark, to add that too. So if you have somebody that's like your commercial guy.
Yeah, that's great to know. Now, Tim, there is today a big drop, big news. There is something happening in October, and it's not Halloween. It's not, the Canadian Thanksgiving, which seems to fall on this date as well. Didn't think about the Canadians on these date pickings, but that's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time, Tim. But Tim, can you tell us what is happening in October that you are so jumped and excited about and want to fill your plate even more with?
I know, right? So, well, I tell you what, this has been a long time coming. I just feel like I have a lot to share. I have a lot that I want to say, and I have a lot that I want to hear from other people that I know is going to be really valuable to the industry. So I'm launching an event. Well, we launched it. It's live. You can go and buy tickets right now for it. It's called Built to Move. It's going to be on October 11th and 12th. Classroom style workshop, limited to 100 people. So it's going to be intimate. But I just saw a need for some like deep teaching, right? So in like very specific. So like I'm literally going to come and I'm going to teach you everything that I know about hiring and training and managing a sales team for the moving and storage industry, whether it's inside sales or outside sales. I'm going to tell you everything I know, everything that we do at MoveBees, everything that we track at MoveBees. You can go build your own call center when you're done. With what I'm going to share with you, right? It doesn't matter. So, but I saw a big need. So like the early Lewis events were amazing because he taught a lot on sales and marketing, and there was a lot of value in bringing your salespeople to it because they would learn something, right? And then and it was just great for everybody. So I feel like I have a lot to kind of so I've taken a lot of what I've learned from Lewis, taken my own, my car sales stuff that I've put together, and then what we've done at MoveBees, and brought that. But anyways, moving companies need help with sales. They need help with finance. They need to understand the benchmarks of their P&L and what the ratios should be. So Brock Hartzler, he's my CFO, owner of Pro Accounting. He's going to come. I mean, he does the books for his company, does the books for like 80 to 100 moving companies.
The man's is brilliant. Listen to his episode on Movified as well. But
oh, it was so much fun. Yeah, we had such a blast.
He's going to share everything with you guys, right? He's going to teach moving company owners what a balance sheet is for, how to use it. He's going to teach them how to build a budget for a year and supply like an actual Excel spreadsheet. And we're going to do it live and have a workshop where you're going to build a budget, right? For your company. You're going to learn how to forecast, and you're going to learn how to forecast with different scenarios. Like, well, what if I charge this much per man per hour? And what if I change my marketing to this? Now, what does it look like? Right. So he's going to be teaching some like really heavy stuff and give you the tools to go home and to use it, which is going to be super amazing. Companies need help with marketing. All right. So the next piece is like, moving companies are just spending money on marketing and hoping that it comes in around like 7 to 10%, right? They're calling their PPC guy and they're like, let's spend $5,000 a month on PPC.
Just because I heard somebody else does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Or they're telling their PPC guy who takes a percentage of the spend, like, can I spend more? Does it make sense to spend more? And they're like, hell yeah, it makes sense to spend more. Let's spend more. So they're just spending more, right? But they don't have the visibility that they need. They don't have the tracking capability that they need. But all of that stuff is available to you. And what we're going to teach you, Justin Queen, he's like my fractional CMO. But he helped me set up my marketing budget. And we're gonna teach you how to set up a marketing budget where you take everything that's already going to come in, right? Everything's going to come in from repeat, referral, mailers, and you start building it. And what's left over is the digital piece. How many leads do I need to fill that digital piece based on my closing ratios and based on how much they cost to actually get that number to actually hit my goal? We're going to teach people how to do that. And it's like super, super powerful. People need help with hiring. Hiring is like what everybody I consult and talk to is struggling to hire enough people right now, right? And hiring is a little bit of an art. We have to get a little bit creative. We're going to teach on that. And then leadership. The most successful companies that I know, most profitable companies I know in this industry have strong leadership and strong culture. And there's no way that you can get around it, right? So we need to be teaching on that. So sales, finance, marketing, hiring, leadership. It's me, Brock Hartzler, Brian Slater from New City Movies going to be there.
What up, Brian?
CMO, Eric Works. Dan Olabi is he's #1 best-selling author on Amazon. He's a leadership coach. He's a dear friend of mine. He's like a national speaker. And then also Stephen Reed from Ready Rolls, our very own.
Stephen, oh, Mr. Reed makes the platform again.
I am so honored. I just got to say that I'm so honored that you would call me on your first event and ask me to speak there and ask me to speak on systems. And so I'm going to speak what I'm passionate on is I'm going to go over org charts and how I would scale different businesses and the systems that I would put in place. So I'm going to go through, if you're a $1 million moving company, I'm going to go through here's how I would do an org chart if I was $1 million with the modern day costs. And then I'm going to go over 1 to 3 million, 3 to 5. I'm going to go all the way up to where I'm at and where I want to go scale in the next stages. So I'm thrilled to have this platform to talk about. Again, Tim has created a movement off of that $10,000 investment, right? And I am honored to be around this guy anytime I can. He called me passionate about this event. We are all family men that are on that board, good-looking family men at that point, but we're all dads. We're all husbands, and we're all men of faith. And I'm hoping we get 100 guys the same way that come out to this event, Tim.
Now, Stephen, I don't know if Tim told you, but I guess my email got lost in spam. So Tim said that I can be the guy at the front door that just tears the tickets. So when everybody shows up there, you just get to see my pretty face just tearing the tickets. I couldn't get onto the stage because they couldn't squeeze me into that whole lineup. So I totally understand. There's only one
Are we
bald
going to
guy
bring up
on the stage.
Are you going to bring up how you barely clapped for me at that one on that contest that you gave me the?
If I could throw this pen at you, I clapped, but I gave you a strong one clap. But I love it. You know what, guys? Movified is going to be on location. We are going to be, having some time to interview those that are there, interview some of the speakers that are coming up on stage. I'm super excited for this event as well, too.
This is an event to be at. Tim, how much is it? Is there a special going on right now, early bird?
Yeah, early bird tickets I think are $3.99 for general admission, $7.99 for VIP. And they're going like I launched it today, and tickets are selling fast.
That's what Tim called me passionate about. Is he wanted something affordable that everybody can come and make an impact on their business, and I wanted to share that. That's something that is going to touch my heart, and I'll be at in a heartbeat. So I'm thankful to be a part of it, Tim, and excited to see where this thing goes. Built to Move 2025.
Yeah, Built to Move. I can't wait for everybody to come to my hometown. This is where Krupp Moving is. This is where Movies is. I'm sure I'll have a chance to show a lot of people around while we're here.
Logan Paul,
yeah, right.
Drew Carey.
Oh my goodness,
Drew Carey.
Are those guys from here, from around this area?
Yeah, Drew Carey. His Price is Right. He's a big Cleveland guy. And then you got Mark Price back in the day with the Cleveland Cavs. Who can forget him? Big celebrity.
Yep.
And Tim Krupp,
LeBron.
most importantly.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Krupp, as Mark says.
That's right. Well, we're super excited for this event. Make sure the link, Mr. Krupp, Mr. Krupp has said that this link will be on the descriptions, so make sure you're checking out. If you're listening right now, just scroll down on if you want to connect with Tim or if you want to get your tickets for the event. These early bird prices will not last very long, but we will put a shout out right now that if you give us a detail of your business, I want you to share. I want you to share some comments. I want you to follow Movified. I want you to stay and get your information out there. If you fill this out and say that you heard us on Movified, we will be picking out of the group or in the next week somebody for a special VIP pass on Movified, and so make sure you're signing up. And if you want, or message Tim. So we're going to get a list. We'll put a little form out here. So fill it out, because that early bird special is not going to last long. And we're going to give one lucky listener an early bird VIP ticket.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Great job. That's I can't wait for this thing. Tim, what's one outcome you want everybody to have?
I want people to be able to come away with actionable items that they can't wait to get back to their companies to implement. I want them to walk away and say, this event changed my business, right? 100% this event changed my business.
If I'm in the business with my wife, can I bring my wife?
Absolutely. My wife's going to be there.
Awesome. So you can come as couples. It's not a frat party.
No, it's not a frat party at all. Yeah, bring your wives, bring your team. This is going to be a great, like, if you've got a GM, he needs to understand finance. You got an ops guy, he's got to understand finance, right? You got sales guys, they're going to want to hear the sales stuff. So I encourage you, bring your salespeople, bring your sales manager, bring your GM or your ops manager. There's going to be a lot of value for them. So get them in the room. Bring your wives, especially if your wives are in the business. My wife's going to be here. If there's wives hanging around, we'll get something going so the wives can go have some fun together. Ohio is beautiful in October. It's gorgeous.
Super excited. Never been to Ohio. Me neither. So I'm excited to go. Tim.
Well, I've been to Ohio. I've never been to Cleveland. I've been to Columbus.
Tim, this has been great. I really appreciate you joining us on the show and discussing this. I am excited for the build to move. Real movers, real tactics, no fluff. This is going to be
$399
coming up. Get a ticket now. It's fantastic. Awesome pricing, and you definitely want that VIP experience as well, too. Tim, thank you so much. Steven, it's always been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
And for all those that are listening, stay Movified. Until next time.